Hey guys, what's up? This is Lasercorn from Mahalo Video Games, and we're bringing you another game from the Blizzcon Invitational 2010. And this one's going to be Duckload Ra against Ice. Ice is our Zerg player up here from Singapore, and down here is Duckload Ra, the Protoss player from the Ukraine. I think Duckload Ra was formerly White Ra, but changed names for reasons I'm not entirely familiar with. And yeah, we're gonna see what happens between these two players. I have heard of White Ra, I've never heard of Ice, so this will be my first time seeing him play. In case you were wondering what's going on here, the BlizzCon Invitational is a tournament for $25,000, which goes to the winner. It's double elimination, so if a player does lose a best of 3 series, he's got another shot in the losers bracket. All series are best of 3, and winner takes home $25,000. That's pretty much it. So we've got, well, let me get production on here. A lot of people like to have that. We've got Duckload throwing down a gateway up there at his the entrance to his main base, and he's going to send this probe out scouting. Meanwhile, Ice content to scout with his Overlord there. Or maybe he would rather scout with a drone too. Looks like he's sending a drone down to White Ra, or Duckload Ra's base. I'm gonna get that mixed up. And this probe coming out here to scout. And this probe and drone thinking about fighting. And wow, actually Ice had a chance to sneak by the probe and throw down his expansion, but opted instead to turn around and kind of mess with the probe. Although, I don't know if Ice had enough money to throw down his expansion yet. Meanwhile, down in Duckload's base, he's got a gateway down and warping in a cybernetics core now, so we'll probably see a Stalker get chrono boosted out of that gateway shortly. That pylon's got to be annoying for Ice. I know a lot of Zerg players like to get their expansion as soon as possible. Very few players for the Zerg can play one base for very long. And Duckload stealing minerals from Ice, that's not very nice. That's just unsportsmanlike conduct. Don't know why you would do that. 2 Zerglings now gonna run this probe down. No one steals from Ice and gets away with it. And meanwhile, a drone pecking away at that pylon, and one of the Zerglings is going to split off and help him take this pylon down so he can get his expansion out. This Zergling going to chase this drone until it drops or heads back to base, I guess. Duckload Ra now warping in a second gateway. He's got a Stalker on the field, and looked like he might have wanted to go for that Overlord, but that Overlord is out of range. And nice, Ice drops the pylon, puts up his expansion. So nothing too out of the ordinary happening here in the very beginning of the game. A third gateway coming down for Duckload Ra. Probably a heavy Stalker Sentry build, if I had to guess. And Ice testing that ramp, wants to see if he can make it up there or not. And the answer is no. Duckload Ra now with those sentries on the ramp too. I don't know why you would need sentries and this block off all at once, but maybe the sentries are for offense later on. He'll use those force fields to split up groups of units, make them easier to pick off for the Protoss army. Force field are really unique and widely used ability here in Starcraft 2. I'm a Terran player, so I don't really like it. I think it's stupid, but a lot of the Protoss players like it. 2 Zerglings running in here. Oh, one of the Zerglings getting roasted. And the other one's going to take off before the same fate befalls him. That expansion now up and running, a queen pumping larva over there, and got a hatchery morphing into a lair. Another Zergling gets picked off down here by Duckload's base. We've got Ice Maynarding some probes over to his expansion, and some roaches out now. Roaches and a Spinecrawler coming out for Ice. Duckload just now taking his expansion. And he's sending a probe around back. Sneaky, sneaky. I guess he just wants to get some scouting info, and he didn't want to risk running into one of Ice's Zerglings in the field, but Ice had a Zergling back there, and that probe's not going to get that much intel. He knows he's got a hatchery there, that's about it. It's a fairly menacing force from Ice with these roaches. Don't see any upgrades coming out for those roaches right now. No tunneling claws or anything. And the Stalker force from Duckload moving out, gonna take out this Zergling at the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Meanwhile, these roaches are coming around the chasm the other way. And these two armies are probably going to collide shortly here. With these sentries, though, I think Duckload might have the edge. I think he might be able to split up and pick off these roaches if these two armies collide. But it looks like they're not going to collide here. Ice is going to head back to base. And he's really spreading that creep really well, using overlords as well as creep tumors to get as much of that purple goop down on the map as possible. And looks like Duckload has a problem with that, and he's going to come in here and start popping overlords. Let's see if Ice will respond. I don't know. I don't know if Ice has what it takes to respond just yet. Those sentries can be hell in a Protoss Zerg throwdown. Just split up all your forces and make them so easy to get picked off. And it looks like, yeah, he's still chopping away at those overlords. Let's see if that's doing any. Yeah. Oh wow, he's supply capped. So looks like that overlord harass is having some effect. Meanwhile, we've got an observer coming out of this robotics facility down here. Duckload's going to chop away at those rocks, see if we can get those rocks down. Meanwhile, Ice, thinking about taking this gold expansion, he's going to get these rocks out of the way. Duckload does not have the rocks down at his gold expansion. And the rocks are down. Once again, Ice with two Zerglings at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and they get picked off. So Ice has been losing random Zerglings and overlords throughout the course of this game. I don't know if that'll add up or not. Usually the swarm. Oh, Neural Parasite coming out. Very interesting for infestors. That Neural Parasite allows the Zerg to mind control enemy units, but it doesn't look like Duckload has anything yet worth mind controlling, although he does have an Immortal on the production tab. Oh, and he's got one out on the field already too. Okay. So maybe he's going to Neural Parasite those Immortals. Colossus are good targets for Neural Parasite too. If you get a couple of Colossus with Neural Parasites on them, they can turn on their own guys and do a lot of damage. Looks like we're going to have a gold expansion coming up for Duckload Ra. And one coming up for Ice as well. These two players really staying neck and neck. And here comes the Zerglings. They're going to try and take out this gold expansion. The Stalkers are there, though. They're going to drive them back. If he had that expansion unguarded, those Zerglings might have done some damage, but Duckload wisely had some units ready. Had, well, not some units, his entire army was standing right on top of this gold expansion. And looking at the army compositions right here, I would give the edge to Duckload at this point, but I could be wrong. Just because of those sentries, I think are going to really, really make a difference. And as long as he micros, he's microing these stalkers really well. And Infested Terran's coming down now for Ice, who's apparently anticipating a large battle, or maybe he just wanted to get rid of that observer that was in the air. And I wouldn't go near those cannons if I were Ice. Those cannons, plus the army, a very menacing combination. No. And here come the Zerglings, but getting repelled by those stalkers. And force field going down. Another force field going down. Wow, a lot of force fields going down. That's what I said about those sentries. Not great placement on those force fields, though. Didn't manage to trap any of the units. If you trap them, you can trap and pick them off, but that's not what happened here. And Ice gets a free pylon kill. A couple of those units getting separated. Yeah, those roaches aren't going to make it back. And these roaches being cut off from the main army, so those were some good force fields. And this gold expansion is going to go down. Ice has to go the long way around thanks to those force fields. And when he does get there, he's going to run into a pretty large force from Duckload Ra, cutting those off. Neural parasites now on the Immortal, though. That Immortal is neck deep in his own enemies, or his own units. And wow, great force fields coming down from Duckload Ra. Two Immortals neural parasited now. Will this turn the tides of battle? That neural parasite is limited, and if these infestors go down, they do lose the neural parasite. And yeah, just all those units getting destroyed. This is a rough army to deal with. As I mentioned earlier, Duckload Ra with those sentries and good force fields. Although he did lose all his sentries, it looks like. But with good force fields, it's hard to beat a Protoss army like this. And that gold expansion will go down. There's no way. Yep. That's all she wrote for that gold expansion. This is going to tilt the balance pretty severely in the direction of White Ra, especially after winning that major engagement. And now he's got a gold expansion when Ice doesn't. Unless Ice does something here real soon, he's probably going to take a loss. I don't know what he's got coming. He's got Corruptors on the way. If he can get Broodlords out on the field, he can maybe turn the tides of this battle. Broodlords do morph in from Corruptors, and against a force like this, Corruptors would be very, very good to have. Or I'm sorry, Broodlords would be very, very good to have. And oh, that Observer got a fungal growth thrown down on it. And he is morphing in Broodlords. Okay. So this could be a great play from Ice. If anything can turn the tables here, it's Broodlords. And let's just hope these get up before this. Wow, that's a large army. He is nearing max out. 167 supply over 198. And looking over at our Zerg player, only 132. That's a pretty large gap. So, yeah, Protoss with a definite advantage here. But those Broodlords are out on the field, so we'll see what happens. These Zerglings making sure to stay on the creep. And wow, here come High Templar coming in. Probably going to throw down Psystorms. It looks like they were trying to feed back. And look at that. All these Stalkers blinking over here. Zerglings trying to get us around, but blocked by their own base. The Broodlord's going to work, but there are just not enough Broodlords. Stalkers blink right underneath them and start taking them out. All those Broodlords are going to go down. There's only one left, and I think Ice is going to have to GG out here soon. He's got nothing to deal with this huge Stalker army with these +2 weapons upgrades, and that is it. Ice has lost the game. Duckload Ra wins, and I'll be bringing you game 2 here in a little bit. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is Dave with Mahalo Video Games once again. If you guys have any requests for replays you want casted or questions or comments, go ahead and send those over to requests@mahalo.com. Alright, thanks again.